Okay. So like I said, it's basically the CFF, but all I've done really in essence is change the color and I've added the legs. So we'll just do it a little bit step by step here. And I'm using a size 12. The one that I had on the hook was an Arex, I think it was the super dry hook. It's a little bit of a shorter shank. So I decided I'd do one with a little bit longer shank. So again, it's a Arex hook. If people don't know it, we do sell it at the hole. This is a dry long, it's called, a size 12. So a little bit bigger than the standard dry fly. And if people are interested in the hook, there is actually an article on the Arex hooks in the new Fly Tire magazine. Brenda picked it up for me yesterday. It was on the middle of the Red Deer fishing, and she called me and said, the new Fly Tire's in a superstore, and it's got a story about minimalist fly fishing. And she said, I thought maybe you would like it because I know the Fishing Hole doesn't sell the magazine anymore. And I said, sure, pick it up. And so I was looking through it last night, and sure enough, it had had a story on Arex hooks. So give it a read if you happen to see it. So there we go. I'm going to slide this over just a little bit so it's more center here for me. Does that look all right for these guys still? Or is my shirt too dark?
No, it's working.
It's working? Okay. So I'm using white nano thread. This is the size 12 or 12-aught. I like it, especially when I'm doing it on dry flies and stuff like that. This way, less chance of really crowding the eye of the hook. So, and I took to heart Michael's thing regarding the thread slips a little bit. And I got, after I heard him mention it a couple of times, I got checking it out myself. And yes, I noticed that the stuff was slipping. So what I've done is I just take a real thin layer of super glue. And I do this to all my flies now. So once I get some coming out here, and I just put a layer of that on the shank of the hook right away. And what that does is it stops, there is no slip from of the thread, that's for sure. So I'm going to put this on. And it looks like I picked up some fibers there, but that's okay. From the other pattern I'm doing here. And you don't cut it, of course, you just saw it off, nice and easy. I got a little bag of macrame here, a little bit of white, a little bit of cream in here. I got some orange if I want to, and I got some brown. So I'm going to take the brown for the tail. I put it on first. And if you want, you can brush it out a little bit. So I just use a brush here. I'm going to brush it out just to flare it a little bit. It doesn't need to be done too spectacular. And I'm not really concerned about the length when I put it on the original to start out with, because I'm going to trim it anyways at the end anyways. And I'm going to put 2 or 3 turns here. And maybe put a couple in behind just to lock it down. And then I'm just going to go ahead here to about halfway, maybe just a touch past half on the shank of the hook. And I'm going to cut that off there. I'm just going to wrap that stuff down so it's fairly flat anyways. Now Don, with his pattern, he used peacock, and most of us, when we done it, either used peacock itself or we used Peacock Arizona or Peacock whatever, ice dub or whatever to the choice. The color I really like is actually the Canadian olive. Got a really good real color combination that I really like, and I've talked to other people and they think that this is like one of the best colors that they've seen in a long time. So I kind of like it myself, so I thought I would use that, and I use that for the body. And just get a little bit out. You don't have to get a whole bunch out. And I don't put it on in great big gobs. I just put it on just enough to get the dubbing on there to, I don't know if you can see it or not.
With that nano thread, Dennis, you don't see a need to wax the thread?
I've never waxed it. I believe it's semi-waxed already,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. So I don't know, you can see it. I don't put it on really thick. You can put it on easier, you can take it off. And I do it to about half the length of the hook shank. And I'll bring it back if there's a little bit more left, just to give it a little bit of a body to it. And then just turn it off there like that. Then what I do is I go to my poly and I'll grab some strands here. This is 2 strands. Okay, and maybe I'll go 3 strands. And I think there's 2 or 3 different factions out there about how big the wing is supposed to be or whatever. I just tie it on. I don't, I just put it to the way I kind of, think it looks okay to me. So. And what I do is I put it on top and I do it to the length of the tail. With the nano thread, you can sock it down pretty tight. Put that right on top. Oh, sure. And then just trim that off. Boy, you keep going like this, I'm going to keep this one. I just tie it down. Now this is where I put the rubber legs on. Now like I said, I think I mentioned, did I mention, was it orange or did I say olive legs? I can't remember. Anyways, I use I use olive or orange or pumpkin, I guess is the color. This is the colors that I use. We got the orange tip rubber legs. So what I kind of do is I cheat. I like the orange. So what I would do is take the orange here. Okay, so you can see how it's tipped. Both sides are tipped. Sit still. So both ends are tipped orange. So what I'll do is just this way I get 2 or 3 flies out of a one rubber strand. Just trim it off like that. And then what I do is just double it over. Double it over like that. And then what I'll do is just decide how long I want it. Trim that off. And put that across the top. Again, try and keep that on top a little bit. Don't sock it right down, because one, you're going to cut the leg, or if you put it down too tight, you're not gonna be able to pull it over. Because what you're gonna do is pull over one side, and you're gonna pull over the other side. Okay, where'd that other leg go? There it is. And pull it a little bit tight, or tighter. Sure. Then what you're gonna do is Don said to use a cheapest hackle brown hackle you can find. This one was $7, so I'm assuming it's somewhat cheap. So that's what I'm using here. It's kind of a furnace, what it is. And the other one, I haven't used it yet, but I've got a cock soft hackle, or hen, or a hen neck, I should say. And I think that would work really not too bad on this pattern too. So either or, you know, it's up to you what you'd like to use on it. But I'll use this dry fly, roughly a size 12 barb on it, if I can find it. And what I'm gonna do is, this one's got a little bit of a black in the center of it. I'm gonna try and take it up as far as I can and just keep a minimal of the black in the hackle itself, peeling off the fuzzies if you want. And then I'm just gonna tie that there right in the center of the legs. Do 2 or 3 turns, and just kind of get that leg in there where you want it. And I'm going to bring that 12 up in the front, and then what I'm going to do is do 1 turn behind, just because I can. And I'm going to do 2 or 3 wraps in the center, and bring it underneath. And I should have brought my hackle pliers, but I didn't. Do a few turns there. And I'm going to put 1, 2, I'm going to put 3 wraps on there for now. Get the legs out of the way. And find my scissors. I'm going to snip that, and then what I'm going to do is take my orange. I kind of like orange. Orange has been my go-to color for kind of a little touch at the top. I'll put it on the thread. And then I've got a new whip finisher. I retired my Petagon whip finisher, and now I'm using the new Loom whip finisher. Seems to work pretty good. It's still a learning curve with it, but anyways, that's what I've been using of late. And then what I'm going to do is do 1, 2, 3. You can do 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever amount you want. And then just slide it like that. And I'm just going to nip it off like that. Again, like I said, I'm not cutting it. And then I'm going to take it out of the vise. Decide how long you really want the tail. And what I do is scrunch it up like this. And diagonal or slanted inwards. Or I'll just give it a trim off like that. And voila. 1 Bastard CFF. Oops. Can we see it?
Yeah.
So it turned out pretty good for a change. And like I said, I used it on Dismal when we did the grayling survey, and I caught the most grayling pretty well on the fly using this. Didn't change it. Done really well with it, and I've used it on James. Did not too bad with it on James. I've used it on the Freeman. Didn't do too bad with it on the Freeman. Randy outfished me using a stimulator that day, but still caught quite a few fish that day.